I guess it's and so it's sort of the experience that I've been having is sort of with the book is sort of like, you know, having to rethink, well, why did I do it in the first place? And the best thing I can think of, because the book is a memoir, sort of. What happened was I was trying to write a memoir like a heartbreaking work of staggering genius. I wanted to write a book that was a combination of a heartbreaking work of staggering genius, everything is illuminated, a million little pieces, barrel fever, and then just for some like silliness, everybody poops. And I wanted to call the book Everybody Poops Genius Pieces. But as I started writing, it was like, it just wasn't coming out right, the tone was off. So I went with something a little bit more just kind of, I ended up writing a book about trying to write the book, and then the memoir actually starts on page 250. It's 255 pages long. But I think part of me was just, I like the idea of writing a book, just purely aesthetically. Like, you know, in social situations, which I'm very uncomfortable socially, and if I find small talk of any kind to be, it's not that I have anything against it, but I just can't do it. It incapacitates me. So I figured, like, if I'm in a social situation and people ask you inevitably, well, what do you do? Or what are you doing? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I find that to be a very invasive question. Like, I get very bent out of shape when people ask me that. And I ask people that all the time, but it's like, how do you answer that question? Because what I hear is, who are you as a person? Like, what makes you you? And I feel very attacked. So I'm like, you want to fucking go there? Like, what? I just asked you what you're up to. Like, I don't give a shit what you say. You can say to them, you really want to fucking go there? You want to be my fucking shrink for a night? I stole the fucking laptop, okay? People are like the olives and what the fuck is going on with Showalter? I stole the fucking laptop. And yes, I helped him look for it all day long. All day, driving around. Because I'm a bad person. Is that what you want me to say? It's like I might as well be naked, dancing around. I feel that vulnerable. Because I think the reason that social situations are so uncomfortable for me is because I'm afraid of what I'll say. Because I'm weird. But I didn't connect the dots, because I'll say shit and not realize, like, why did that person, like, what just happened? Like, I just called that person a fat motherfucker, and then all of a sudden, now he's like, won't talk to me. But I like, you know, I guess I think maybe people become recluses because they can't stand the thought of not having control for even half a second, because I want so badly to control the way other people perceive me, and but it's all an illusion. Like, how many of you guys are in a relationship, or how many of you guys are dating, running around? Because I was thinking, this is a perfect example of what I think is potentially the worst possible moment of where our true selves is revealed. You meet somebody, you like that person. You're into each other. Go on a date. Just enjoying the quiet. You know, a stand-up comedy show, it could just be quiet. We can just be quiet. That's what people say sometimes. We can just be quiet together. That's why if some people like each other, they'll say, I like her because we can be quiet together. I don't think that would necessarily be true of a performance. But it necessarily might be true, I don't know, Mika, try. So you meet that person, you go out, and you're putting on your best self. You know, you're dressing up and blah, 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 and you come prepared with your stuff, your little list of stuff, your opinions, your little formulated thoughts about whatever, and you like each other, and it's going great, and you're like shiny, you know? You're like relevant. You feel relevant and shiny and alive, and you got a little pep in your step. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. No, but you know what I mean? It's like you just feel like there's a force field around you, and you're just like excited. But you know that, and this is good, that in order, at some point in this thing, you need to be naked with that person. But not like you need to be naked, like we're gonna have to be naked at some point, like you fucking need to be naked, like I need to be naked with this person. And I don't mean even sex, we just need to be like animals, just like weird. It's all making sense to me now. Because that's what I'm like when I'm like hooking up with somebody, and now I'm like, come here! And they're like, dude, show up, what, Mike? That's not romantic. I'm like, will you excuse me for a second? I just need to go slip into something a little bit more comfortable. And then I'll disappear into the bathroom, and then I'll come out naked and be like, no, but you know that that's the deal breaker. Like, this is good, we get along, we like each other, but that's gonna be the real thing, you know? And then you're there, right? It's that night or whatever, you go back to one of your guys' places and there's some Sade rocking on what have you, Sade, it could be Maxwell, what have you. Some people like Carole King, it doesn't... Metallica, that's fine. Insane Clown Posse, that's what I do, I'm like... You excuse me for a second, I'm gonna put on some Insane Clown Posse. Really get this thing going, and then I always leave my Velcro shoes on too. So I'm naked, but I have my big, giant fucking Frankenstein Velcro shoes on. And you're naked and awash in the glow of the moon, the blue moon, reflecting over your naked, twitching muscles. And then you're inside of each other. Because I don't know who's who in my scenario. In my mind, there's just two blobs, two glowing orbs. Both orbs have a penis and a vagina and a butthole, and just pick and match, mix and match. Just do whichever you want to do. And it's magic. It's fucking magic. And it's all clicking, and you're magical, and it's everything you hoped it would be. And then one of you farts. And the whole fucking thing comes crashing down. And you're just a little fucking troll. You're just so human and revealed and pathetic. Do you know what I'm talking about? You've just been totally, the game is up, the gig is up. You're not magic, you're not a sorcerer. You're just a fucking person. You're just a regular old fucking troll. Like I'm married. I recently got married. The first like 6 months that I was dating my now wife, she didn't even know I shit. I'd have to get up at fucking 2:30 in the morning. And you're like, I gotta go outside and go get a sandwich. I gotta go find a... She's like, really? Because I didn't want her to know that I did that. I don't know. It didn't seem magical to me. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? There's no magic to that. Like, you're like glowing like a fucking ember. And then you're like, will you just excuse me for a second? I need to take a shit. And then you're just a little nobody. You're no one. You're nothing. Or you're everything. Like Halloween, okay? I can't do Halloween. I can't do it. I appreciate that some people love to do, but I can't do it. Like, and I've never been able to. Like, when I was a kid, you know, I think once I tried to do Charlie Chaplin or whatever, and it didn't take. So basically, from like 2nd grade until I stopped trick-or-treating when I was, I don't know, 18, 19, I would just grab one of my dad's blazers, roll up the sleeves, Billy Joel. For years, for 10 fucking years, I was Billy Joel. And always the same era, you know, like 52nd Street, you know. Rosalinda's eyes. So then, you know, and then when now, and is Halloween as big a deal in Minneapolis as it is in New York? It's a huge thing, right? Like you start preparing, you're probably already putting together next year's Halloween costume, right? You have a couple ideas of what it's gonna be. And you're gonna go shopping, you're right? You're like trying out, like, what do you think? I got these 3 ideas, right? What are you working on? What do you got? Billy Joel, okay. You don't have your idea yet. What's that? A mushroom? Just a regular, like a shiitake mushroom? Yeah, fine, great. She's like, yeah, what are you going to say about it? A fucking mushroom. What are you going to say about it? I said a shiitake mushroom. She's like, yeah, a fucking mushroom. What do you want to get up in my shit about the fact that I'm going to be a mushroom? Okay, it's cool. Mushroom it out. True. But not peyote, right? Just a vegetable, the mushroom, right? You're going to be peyote, and what's she going to be? A generic mushroom. A boring, fucking banal. But you're planning it now, right? And are you going to make it out of sponge or whatever? Like, are you going to really go for it? What? You work with felt. She works with felt. You work with felt. You work with felt. She's a feltiteer. A feltician. Are you guys making out now? What the hell are you? What is the deal with? What do you think this is? You think this is a live sex show? I once attended a live sex show. Somebody remind me to go back to Halloween because this is going to be a while. But I once went to a live sex show, and this is a story worth telling. And I had no idea what to expect. I'll be honest. I was obliterated for 72 hours straight. I had one working brain cell for 72 hours. And I could feel it fucking... And I was right where I wanted to be, just like one brain cell shy of coma. So, we go to the sex show, the live sex show, and what it is basically it's 3 vignettes, and it's a real theater. They have a stage, They have curtains, they have chairs, you buy a ticket. There's 3 vignettes, and in each vignette, the man and the woman in the vignette, at the end, fuck, and music plays, and you applaud. And each vignette's a little different. The first one was Thor and Athena. The second one was Nurse and Patient. And the third one, and so basically like they have foreplay and then the guy gets a boner and like they start, and then it's like techno music plays and he's like, and then you applaud and you're like, so, but they don't have an orgasm because they do it, then they're doing another show an hour later. So, the third vignette was Batman and Vicky Vale. The guy playing Batman was 6'3" and string bean skinny, okay? His suit, his Batman suit was hanging off his body. It looked like an 11-year-old wearing his father's pajamas, okay? But really tall. You know, it's like droopy and the ears are all droopy and floppy. Bad ears. Now I left out a very important detail, which is that the stage rotates. That's like the big thing in each vignette, is that when they start having intercourse, then the stage starts to rotate 360 degrees and it's like this visual effect. You know, and it's like, it's like going to like a Broadway show or something and then like the boat comes on the stage or whatever. So they're doing Batman and Vicky Vale. We're just cracking up at this guy playing Batman because he's just hilarious to look at. They start having sex. The stage starts turning 360. He's not on the stage, okay? He's not on the turning part of the stage. Because she's on the bed, and they're doing the position where her head is pointed in that direction, and he's also pointed in that direction. So the stage starts turning. He realizes he's not on the stage. He's like just off the stage. So he improvises and does this. While it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Not erotic. So, and he's like, the show must go on. The show must go on. I gotta improvise. So you're working on your mushroom outfit. The one time in the last like 10 years that I've tried to do it, I did, because all my friends, they get so into it, and I feel a lot of pressure to take part. And it's lame to show up to the party and not be in a costume, don't you agree? Yes. Like if you're gonna go, get into it. Otherwise, don't go. I went as Barry Potter. Like Harry Potter's weird cousin. I did it again, see? I did. And they're like, hey, who are you? And I'm like, Barry Potter. Harry Potter's weird cousin. But then, I'm just me again. That's my problem with Halloween, is that you get in your costume, you spend an entire year on it for one moment, which is, who are you? And I go, I'm Barry Potter. And they go, oh yeah. And then I go, who are you? And they say, I'm the Morton Salt Girl. And I go, oh yeah. And then we're just us again. Only we're dressed like, I'm in a fucking bald cap. And how do you move forward? And then it's like, yeah, so. Anyway, like I can't have any conversations dressed that, And the thing that I'm thinking the whole time is like, I can't even play along with this because I just know for a fact that at the end of the night, you're going to be naked taking a shit. I just can't ever get past that. You know, like I can see through it. I can see through the mushroom costume. Like the real you is in there somewhere. And you're gonna be crouched on the toilet, like a little fucking troll, with no thoughts in your mind, just blank, taking a shit. Like, and I think that's, and it could be anybody. That's because that's the reality of it, is that at the end of the day, that's who we are. Like, you could be the Queen of England. And if I had to meet you, I wouldn't be impressed, because I'd just be like, I know for a fact you're taking a shit. Like, I know it. I don't care what you tell me, I don't care. I don't care about the crown, I don't care about the robe, the cape, the throne, I don't give a shit. I know for a fact you're taking a crap later. And you're just gonna be like this. Because I think I'm not gonna say me, I try so hard to put upon airs. Put upon airs. And wear a costume. This is a costume. You think I wear this shit? No, I'm Sean John, man. This is a fucking, I'm full on homeboy. That's my name. It's a costume. It's all. And other people do it. I do know it's not just me. I was in my CVS in Brooklyn where I live, and there was this like very hardcore hipster girl in front of me in the line. And the woman's like, "What do you want? What can I get you?" And she goes, do you have any Pepto-Bismol? Pepto-Bismol. And what went through my mind was, she didn't want the woman behind the counter to know that she knew what it was actually called. It was like, yeah, too fucking cool to really know what this is. It's like, I don't know, it's like this this pink thing. It's like, I don't really know. It's like, I don't know, it's like pink or something, and like, I don't know, people use it, I don't even know, but it's like called Pepto-Bismol. No! Pepto-Bismol, you fucking know that, you know it! Be proud, just admit it! Have the fucking courage to admit that you know what it's called! You've always known what it was called. There had to have been some moment where she was like, oh my god, this is so mortifying, I have to mispronounce it. If I don't mispronounce it, then my whole fucking world will come crashing down. What is she afraid of, you know? That some fucking guy in line is gonna be like, telling this story? You know? What is she? Why is she? What's the... Here's another one. Because there's certain things you have to just own it. You can't, the more I think about it, the more I feel like I like people, I'm going to say that. I appreciate when people just are who they are, okay? I saw these two guys in my local ice cream parlor. And it was my local ice cream parlor. Holding their ice cream cones like beer bottles, okay, like this. What is that? And they were having a conversation with each other. They were talking to each other. So they were like, oh yeah, right. You can't do that with an ice cream cone. You can't look cool eating an ice cream cone. It's impossible. Unless you eat it, you know, just like an ice cream cone, and then it's impossible not to look cool. Also, riding a bicycle no-handed. We got a few of you out there? No way to look cool riding a bicycle no-handed. You got your arms hanging down to your side, all noodly, and then your legs pumping. You know, like I'll be walking down the street and I'm like, oh, here comes the fucking douchebag riding a bicycle. I used to do that when I was in like 3rd grade. There was a girl who lived on my street that I had a crush on, and I would like ride my bicycle in circles around the block, and when I got a little bit close to her house, I'd go no-handed. Like I'd be handed all the way, and then I'd be like... It's stupid looking. You have 80% of the bicycle in front of you. Why? Watch the... It's dangerous. The only reason to do it is to look cool, to show everybody how great your balance is. If you really must ride a bicycle no-handed, then get a fucking unicycle. And let's see how cool you look. Very cool! And I'm thinking too, well, okay, so what's the opposite of that? What are things that you can't not look cool doing? Sleeping. You can't not look cool if you're sleeping. And I don't care if you're snoring, if you have a deviated septum, if you're fucking sweating like a pig. It doesn't matter. You're beautiful to me. You're pure. You're a shining, glowing ember. Because you're completely unaware of your own behavior. Because you're asleep. Does anyone else sweat when they sleep? I think this is a guy thing. I found out this is like a guy thing. When I take a nap, specifically happens when I take a nap. When I wake up from the nap, and it could be like 20 minutes, I'm covered in a thick layer of goo. Like I'm a deer that's been like popped out of a fucking, like I'm a baby fawn just dripping in placenta. Like my knees are all wobbly. I'm literally, it's like 4 o'clock I lie down, 4:15 I wake up and I'm a baby deer covered, freshly out of the, and then there's like an alligator and I'm like, I don't know how to run yet. And the alligator grabs onto my leg. My mom is trying to poke the alligator with its nose, and I'm like, and then I'm watching myself on TV. I'm like, change the channel. I can't watch this. It's too freaking. It's too upsetting. I can't watch this. Does anyone know? Am I lost? Did I get lost again? Am I Red Riding Hood? Did I get lost in the woods? Another thing you can't not look cool doing is fixing anything on the moon. But that's a little bit different. That is a little bit different. Because for me it's mostly about behavior and any form of unself-conscious behavior. And this is a good example of this. I'm on the subway in Brooklyn on an elevated track. And the guy sitting across from me on the subway is a gangbanger. I don't mean, sorry. I just became like my 5th grade math teacher who was like, so this is a... I never wanted to be that guy. He was like, so fucking disgusting. disgusting. And he was like, he was a gangbanger, a gang member, in a gang, right? Okay. He had the teardrop tattoo, so that means he killed somebody. And I'm like parched. I'm like a camel. Oh, camels aren't parched. Camels are the opposite of parched. What am I like? I'm like a... What's a thirsty animal? Let's play that game. What's a thirsty animal? A what? A what? Panda. What's a thirsty animal? A panda. Who's up there? What's happening? Panda. I said a panda. What are you? Who are you? A panda. Bear. Panda bear. They're thirsty. You don't know that? You don't know how much water panda bears drink? Panda bear's parched. Panda bear can't drink enough water. He needs water all day long. I swallow. You're talking to me about panda bear. You don't know me. You think? And oh, thanks. Thank her. Where is she? Are you over there? Hi, there you are. A panda. I could do this all night long. What is a very thirsty animal? A panda. Thirsty animal. First, she and you know that there was where she was like, thirsty animal, thirsty animal. Oh, a panda! And so he's got the teardrops, he's got fucking buff, rock hard, just muscles are just made out of stone. He's got a shaved head, he's got a mean scowl on his face, and I'm just fixated. I mean, I'm like, wow, he's amazing to look at this guy. And I'm thinking too, I hope he doesn't see me looking at him because I'm looking at him like, because in New York, I mean, we're all mixed together on the subways, especially, and it's like if he sees me doing that, he'll kill me. I know it. I know it. And then I'll be like, hey, man, it's cool. We're good. I know the deal. And so he's like looking out the window at the skyline or whatever, and he reaches into his pocket, and he pulls out a crinkled thing of Kleenex, and he blows his nose. He's like, and I wanted to get up. I'm like looking around the subway, like, did anyone else fucking see that? Am I the only one who saw that? He blew his nose. The gangbanger just blew his nose. He had the sniffles, you guys. The gangbanger had the sniffles. It was adorable. It was human. He was naked taking a shit. That's what that was. What time is it? No? Okay. I was thinking about the way I was looking at the gangbanger, and it reminds me of my parents. Because people ask me sometimes, what do my parents think of my comedy? As I mentioned earlier, there's a video out there somewhere of me filleting Mrs. Claus. It's not easy to be like, hey, Mom and Dad, here's what I'm working on. Here's what you put all that hard work into, being parents. Me sucking Miss Claus's dick. They're both college professors. I'm a faculty kid. And, but the answer, truthfully, is they don't see it. I mean, they don't see they don't know what, they see it, but all they see is that I'm their son. You know, so whenever I'm in a show, or they're exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. But, like I was in my first play I was ever in, and I've been in so many plays. So very many. So very many. Too many. I'll be at the Guthrie. Oh God, what is it now? March? I'll be at the Guthrie in June. I'm doing Othello again. My Othello is very different than this. I once was in a Shakespeare play in college. I was in Hamlet. I played Osric. Big part. Very big part. This was my line. A hit! A very palpable hit! And so I'm in third grade, and I auditioned for the musical Oliver at summer camp. And do you guys know that musical? Oh yeah! Hell yeah! That's not any reference you expect to get a hell yeah. That's what I like about Minneapolis. Like, hey, yo, you heard of the music Oliver? Fuck yeah! Go crazy on Oliver! So, I knew the musical by heart. I loved it. And I wanted to play I liked Oliver, but I really liked the Artful Dodger. Artful Dodger is the little cockney kid covered in soot. Wears the little ripped up little breeches. But my dad and I, when I was a kid, we used to play this, it wasn't really a game, but this scenario. I don't know why that's funny, but I think it's funny too. I have no idea why. It wasn't really a game, it was a scenario. I gotta remember that. So it wasn't really a game, it was a scenario. It wasn't really a game, pause, it was a scenario. So Oliver's this little orphan, he's this cute little kid. He gets hooked up into the orphanage. This is like during when the plague or whatever. It was fucked up. England was fucked up. And he's new to the orphanage, and all the other kids are like, who's the new kid? Who's the new kid? And Oliver comes in, and he's just like, he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And he's like scared, but he's a good kid. He's got a good heart. And he sits down at these long wooden tables, and they're feeding them lunch or whatever it is, and it's gruel. And it's green and lumpy and disgusting. And this is when all the other orphans are singing about food, glorious food, and they're just imagining in their minds that the gruel is other things. Custard, pie, grouse, mutton, grouse, and Oliver, he's hungry. Orphan. He's bouncing around. I'm hungry. Does he like the gruel? No. But he's hungry. So he eats the gruel. For the 6 of you that are enjoying this, I really for the 6 of you here. And I can tell there are 6. So anyway, it was going okay, but then he literally dove into an extremely lengthy synopsis of the first scene of Oliver. And at that point, it's safe to say it really did go off the rails. It just genuinely... So little Oliver's there, and he's hungry. He's bouncing around. Growing boy. He finishes his gruel. Picks up his plate, walks over to Bumble with his plate out, and do you know what he has? The audacity to ask for more. How fucking dare he do that? Fucking audacity of that little boy to think that you, Oliver, would have more. And Bumble goes, more. And that's when he sings the song, Olive, never before has a boy wanted more. He will rue the day somebody named him Oliver. That's pretty fucking hardcore. If you think about it, you will rue the day that you were ever given a fucking name. Just because you asked for more gruel. Because you asked for more gruel. It's not lobster, it's not steak. There's plenty of gruel here. It's that you wanted more. You showed fucking weakness, man. So when I was a kid, I would, I'd be at home, whatever, we eating some spaghetti or whatnot. And after I finished my first portion, I'd say to my dad, please, sir, have some more. And then my dad would go, more. And then he would kick me out onto the mean streets of Princeton. Get the fuck out of my house, Showalter! And then I'd be walking around, cold, my britches all tattered. Point being, I knew the play. I knew it well. And I'm thinking, I got this! I fucking got this! I know it by heart. These other 10-year-olds barely know anything. I got this, I know this by heart. I'm gonna be the Artful Dodger. I'm age appropriate. I already know the song. Consider yourself part of the family. Don't share. And then he started singing the Artful Dodgers song. And then he was... I didn't get the Artful Dodger. I got Fagin. Fagin is the leader of the pickpocket gang. Fagin is 80 years old. I'm 10 years old. Fagin is described in the actual book, Oliver Twist, as disgusting to look at. I'm 10 years old. That's when it started. And I'm like, you've got to pick a pocket out. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. 10-year-old? Got the wispy beard. I mean, come on. My parents drove up from New Jersey to the Berkshires, Massachusetts, where my camp was, to see the production of the show. And I look out into the audience and they're like, they loved it. They were like, that is the best 12-year-old, 10-year-old performance of Fagin I've ever seen. I've never seen a 10-year-old do Fagin better than you just did Fagin. I do think I'm going to wrap it up now, because if I keep going, it'll just go on forever.
Do it!
No! I don't know what that means. Could mean anything. I'm really thirsty. Honestly, I'm hard. You can tell, right? Thank you.
Keep going!
What's this say? When I see you, I think panda. Thank you. You knew I was thirsty. You could tell, right? It's because I smoked so much pot right before the show. I have really bad dry mouth. It's not true. It's not true. I haven't, I hate, you know what I hate? I hate drug lingo. That's another one of those things. Like, I hate saying bud. We smoke some buds. I'm like, I can't be that guy. I can't be the guy at the fucking Fish concert with the dreadlocks selling grilled cheese sandwiches out of the back of his car. Yo, man, that's some pretty sweet bud. That's great bud. I'm like, oh, look how big those buds are. Such big buds. Kind of little fucking rat. Oh, look at those buds. Like a little otter, little fucking sea otter. Big teeth, big fucking teeth, gotta fucking chomp through some fucking wood. Gotta just chomp my way through a big piece of wood. So, I haven't partaken in quite some time, but back in the day, I was pretty good at that, and pretty darn good at it. And I refused to call it bud. I called it piece of pot. No one understood what I meant. They're like, does anyone have a piece of pot? Do you mean a bud? No, I mean a piece of pot. And the first time I ever got stoned, I'm really weirdly thirsty. I'm just gonna take a piss. First time I ever got stoned, it was the classic thing. What happened? Who? What? It was in 7th grade, and we went to see the movie. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are a little older, but we went to see the movie Caveman. Ringo Starr is the lead. This is a comedy that Ringo Starr is the lead. It was a different time. That would be like if like there was a, like a big comedy came out and it'd be like, crazy comedy starring Eddie Vedder. Eddie Vedder in Caveman. Like, what the fuck is Ringo? But Ringo Starr was the lead. Anyway, I got stoned and I was like, at first I was like, I don't feel anything. And then I was like, not only do I feel something, but I'm fucking terrified. I've never been more like, this is crazy! Why are there cavemen up there? Who's Ringo Starr? What's happening? And I'm young. I'm not, 7th grade is pretty young. At the end of the movie, lights come up and I'm like, I'm just Charles Mansoning out. I'm just totally freaking out. And I hear, Michael! I look back and I see 2 adults, a man and a woman, who bear a huge resemblance to my parents. And they're like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, they have no idea I'm evil. They have no idea that I've crossed over into fucking pure evil. So I'm like, hey, what's up? How you guys doing? And in my mind I'm thinking, I just sounded like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. I hope I didn't sound to them what I sounded like to myself. Because what I sounded like to myself was like, hey, what's up? How you guys doing? It was so surreal. Like, did you like the movie? And I'm like, yeah, I thought it was really fucking great. I really loved it when Ringo Starr was up on the street. It was like a fucking favorite. And then you just have to fucking tough it out and just hope that they're hearing something different. And then I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Would you see me for a second while I go to the bathroom? And then I'm in the bathroom and they're just waiting for me. I'm washing my hands and they're like, what are you doing in there? And I'm like, washing my fucking hands. Washing my hands. Panicking. Why are you washing your hands? I have paint on my hands. Why do you have paint on your hands, Michael? I was painting Noah's house. There's no one named Noah. There's no Noah. No idea what I was talking about. And, all right. Well, I don't know. I'm going to talk about for a second. Pot? Someone said pot? What happened? Panda? I have cats. I like my cats. How about I talk a little bit about cats and then we'll be done? A little bit about cats and then we'll be done. Look, I got nowhere to go. I'm thinking about the people that don't give a shit about Oliver. He had 3 cats, and I think that to somewhat make sense of all of this, I really genuinely like animals more than people. Everyone else is like, what the fuck is that supposed to be? Even a duck? Even a duck. Yeah, even a duck. I hate to say it, but even a duck. Are they even animals? Or are they fowl? They're the same, right? Ducks are animals. Because they're not weird. They're not all contrived. There's no poser ducks out there. You know what I mean? You're never in the park and you're like, oh my god, this duck is such a fucking poser. Like, oh, that duck, don't talk to that duck. That duck's like a huge poser, name dropper, you know. And I don't understand, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier today, I don't understand where cats are involved. Why so many people make such a point of saying that they do not like cats. Are there any cat haters out there? Yeah, right. Give me a break. No one says they hate dogs. Everyone loves dogs. Even if they don't have a dog, they say they love dogs. But they're like, I fucking hate cats. Cats are the worst. Cats are terrible. I hate them. I don't understand why it's a competition, you know? Like, I like cats and dogs. I like that. I always enjoy a smattering of applause. There is no more soothing sound. I mean this than a light smattering of applause. And anyway, so I have 3 cats now. Sally, who is a big giant pillow with legs. All she does is sleep all day long. She has no discernible personality of any kind. The only thing that is unique about her, other than the fact that she sleeps all day long, is that she's very skittish. And any noise freaks her out. The tiniest little change in the normal noise, like I'm reading the newspaper, I flip the page, and I see Sally from under the coffee table like, what the fuck is that? And she's just out. You know, like I'll be sitting in a chair and like getting up is like, and she's like, fucking hey! Whoa! It's like so important to her that she get out of there immediately. Like opening the front door, I'm like, I'm home, and I just see Sally like, fucking running. I gotta get out of here. He's home. Holy shit. Holy shit. And I'm like, Sally! That's my cat voice. Sally! Sally, we do this every day, Sally. Salamander. Salamander. Then Timothy, who is a boy, obviously, is just a dick. I mean, genuinely an asshole. But I appreciate it because it's just who he is. It's real for him, you know? He has a bad personality. He just has he has an unlikable quality to him that he can't help. It's who he is. And he's just a troublemaker. For those of you that have cats, I'm sure you know, Tim is the guy who does this. If it's not nailed down to the surface, it's toast. Is that what it is? Like, I'm sleeping, it's 4:30 in the morning, and I just hear, first I hear, like, some scurrying. Or I, like, see his fucking evil, slinky body coming, like Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back. And I see him, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Circling the bed table, like, just thinking of ways to torture me. And he gets up there, and he's just like... Then I'm like, Timothy! Timothy! Then Louise is just perfect. She's perfect. She's funny. She's intelligent. Her fur smells good. Stick my little beak up in her fur. Oh yeah, such good fur. And resilient. Resilient. That's what I like about her the most, is that she has this positive life force that cannot be shaken. No matter how crappy the situation, she just is a happy cat. Case in point. I have a closet in my office. If I open that closet, from wherever Louise is in the house, she runs up the stairs and runs into the closet. So, like, I open the closet and I just see Louie just scurry by my legs, jump in there, and she's like, whoa, fucking shoes! This is great! And I'm like, Louie, you just were in here 20 minutes ago. We just did this. And she's like, no, there's shoes in here, man. I see them. Sometimes I don't notice she's in there and I close the door. I didn't see her go in. Hours will go by. Sometimes an entire day. And she's locked in the closet. Which, if it were me, I'd go crazy. It would be like Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now. I'd be like covered in mud and my own feces and like... It'll be 10 hours later, 8 hours later, and we're talking. We're like, where's Louie? Have you seen Louie? I'm like, oh my God, no, I haven't seen her. And then we're looking for her and getting worried, looking under all the bed and the sofa, and like, Louie! And then I get the thought, oh, I bet she's in my office, in the closet. And I get close to the office, and you're like... And I open the closet door. She's been in this confined space. She hasn't eaten. She hasn't had anything to drink. She hasn't gone to the bathroom. And there's one brief moment of like, that sucked. You know, like I open the door and she's like, a drag. And then she's fine again. She's just like, okay. And then she's back to being happy little Louise. So, that's why I like cats better than people. Listen, you guys, I really could go on, but I'm not going to. No, I can't. I think that the law of diminishing returns kicked in about 45 minutes ago. No, that's not true. I've been having a great time. I've been having a lovely... I mean, look, I don't want to keep people here. It's the honest truth. All right. Push through. What else is there to talk about? Oh, you want to hear an impersonation? This is my new impersonation that I got. Okay. This is an impersonation of the network C-SPAN. Okay? It's an audio impersonation. You can close your eyes or you don't have to watch. This is the impersonation of the network C-SPAN. Anyway, so. You know, not supposed to do this, but it's just the sound. So we're gonna have Carol jump. And he said, "Oh, jump on." Go, jump. That's C-SPAN, you guys. That's my impersonation of C-SPAN. All right, here we go. I'll tell this story and then we're done, okay? I'm gonna tell this story and then we're done. I did a show that I'll bet you guys know. I didn't know it. It's called What Do You Know? NPR. You know it? No? I didn't know it, okay? So the other day, I was asked, it was said that they're gonna call you, you're gonna be on this show. What do you know? I don't know anything about it. And they called me up and they said, you're gonna be on the show in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then while I'm on hold, I hear the show, and it's like in front of a big audience. And the guy's telling jokes about Wisconsin and whatever, and it sounds just like Prairie Home Companion. And I'm like, wow, this is weird. Like, I'm calling into this show. Like, I didn't know what the hell was going on. They didn't tell me this is what you're going to talk about or anything like that. So I get on the show, and he's like, hey, Mike, how you doing? And I'm like, great. And he's like, what are you doing in Omaha? And I'm like, haha, yeah, it sucks, Omaha. Which it doesn't. I just didn't know what else to say. And he's like, so you got this book out. And then he starts prompting me to talk about chapters in the book. He's like, and then you talk the recipes. Meanwhile, it's like 9 in the morning. I'm in my underwear. I have no idea. There's no book near me. I'm just like, oh shit, he wants me to do material from the book in front of all these people. And I don't know any in his audience. So I'm like kind of scrambling a little bit. Then he says, tell us about that time you did ecstasy. And I'm like, okay. The story in my book about me doing ecstasy is very, very raunchy. And I'm like, I say to him, you really want me to tell this story? And he's like, yeah, tell the story. Here's the story. I took ecstasy for the first time. Nothing happened. All that happened was I felt drowsy. And then the next day I found out that it wasn't ecstasy, it was melatonin. So the reason I felt drowsy is because I was drowsy. The next time I take ecstasy is with my girlfriend at the time and another couple friends of ours. And we were rolling. And we basically touched stuff and told each other we loved each other for a very long time. The friends couple leave. My girlfriend and I at the time decide to have sex. This is the story he's asking me to tell. And I'm realizing, I'm thinking to myself, now I look back on it and go, he didn't read the fucking book. Like someone had given him just some talking points and he's like, tell us about the time you had ecstasy. We decide to start having sex. I can't. I have numb dick. You could have hammered a nail through my dick. I wouldn't. So the compromise is that I'm going to try to masturbate and she's going to cheer me on. That's as far as I got on What Do You Know? Before he would cut me off and said, don't keep telling this story. And then I'm like, but you brought it up. I didn't want to tell this story. He's like, oh, this is getting weird. Don't tell this story. And I'm like, you fucking ass. So, I start masturbating. She's cheering me on. It's taking forever. We're listening to like Squeeze's greatest hits or something. Loving myself from the shell. And finally I'm like, this is gonna happen. I can feel it. It's gonna happen. And she's like, yay! It's great. And then I just fucking explode. It was like the biggest orgasm humanly possible. As if there were gallons of sperm shooting out of me. So much so that it almost seemed like I was peeing on myself. Because I was. I was peeing all over me. All over me. That's the story they wanted me to tell on what happened. Thank you very much. Varsity, Julie. This has been really, really fun. Thank you very much. That's all I got. Good night.